Hey guys, welcome to today's Vehicle Visionary. Today my friends at Land Rover of Shreveport have loaned me the 2020 version of the Range Rover Velar. This is the R Dynamic S trim package here, and I'll list the multiple packages available on the screen with their starting prices. This particular model that we're going to take a look at today comes in just a little bit shy of $72,000. So let's take a look at what exactly you get for that price with this Land Rover Range Rover Velar. The exterior color on our model that we're looking at today is Indus Silver, and the interior is ebony on ebony. And as you take a look at the front end, it does have a classic Range Rover look here. The headlights are all LED. You have the black grille, upper and lower, which again, I like the way that blends in with the silver color, the black on the silver. You also have, of course, black trim all over, including on the side. You've got the black trim pieces there, and then what appear to be heat extractors on the hood. Although those aren't functional, they are cosmetic, and I believe that does add to the look. Here under the hood is the 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. That's not the only engine option available, but in this particular case, that's what this all-wheel drive Velar comes with. It makes 247 horsepower and 269 foot-pounds of torque. Power is put to the ground through the all-wheel drive system via an 8-speed automatic transmission. And as you can see on the screen, if you look at the gas mileage, that's not too bad. And while you may sacrifice horsepower with this particular engine compared to other available engines for the Velar, you definitely don't sacrifice gas mileage. And as we work our way down the side, you're going to see the 19-inch alloy wheels. Of course, there's that trim piece I was talking about earlier. And when you're looking from this angle, it really looks kind of like a smaller version of the Land Rover Discovery, especially with the lines of the hood right here. You do have the power folding side view mirrors. And when you unlock the vehicle, those mirrors are going to unfold. You do have blind spot monitoring among multiple other safety options. And when the vehicle is locked, the door handles are flush with the body, but you can push the button on the doors themselves, and those door handles are going to pop out. Of course, you can pull on that to open the front and rear doors. I do like the black contrast roof here. You do have deep tinted rear windows that actually look darker because of this black color, and there is a panoramic sunroof. Very nice feature there. A lot of luxury in this model. Now, unlike the Evoque, this model does come or have the option of the clear sight rear view mirror, and I think I would opt for that no matter what. But the slant on the roof line back here towards the rear is not as drastic as it is on the Evoque, so you actually have the ability to see very well out of the rear view window because it's not as small. That is, unless you have somebody sitting in the center who has a rather large head or you're just tall. But when I was doing my test drive, I definitely didn't have any trouble seeing. There's really not a lot of obstruction there, but I would recommend opting for the clear sight rear view mirror if you want to add that. I definitely would myself. Of course, you have multiple options for your cargo space. With the seats in their upright position, you have a little over 19 cubic feet of cargo space, and you can maximize that to a little over 70 cubic feet. Now, there's no buttons or switches back here to automatically lower the rear seats. You have to do that manually, and there are little latches you can pull on the outside of the driver and passenger side of the rear cargo area or the rear seat area that allow you to do that, as you can see on your screen right now. You do have a cargo cover here that you can pull back or leave out. You can actually take that out completely, not difficult to do. And here under the floor, you have a full-size spare tire, something that is always a very good option for any vehicle. So let's hop inside and see what the interior looks like. The back seat itself is comfortable. You do have a fold-down center armrest, actually quite comfortable as well. That's actually very comfortable material. Cup holders right there, dual air conditioning vents, and you do have heated seats back here. but you only have one 12-volt power outlet. So no USBs back here, which is a little bit of a surprise, but it is what it is. There are ways to easily remedy that. Of course, you have the door bins and the storage pockets on the rear seats. But I must say, my favorite thing here is this panoramic sunroof. Offers a great view for your rear seat passengers. When you go to hop inside the front seat, or really on all four doors, you're going to see the R Dynamic logo door sill. That's nice. Of course, you have seat memory and all the controls you would expect here, power windows, power door locks, all that good stuff. And 3 screens here. You've got the dashboard screen and the 2 screens here in the middle. There is no shortage of technology here. And here's the cool thing about the center screen, at least this top screen. If you want to change from day to night mode, that's very easy to do. And you can also use that plus or minus right there to change the angle. And here's one thing I haven't seen a lot of people talk about in their reviews on these Velars or other Range Rover models, or Land Rover models for that matter. But a lot of them will just tap the screen like this. You don't have to do that. If you just hold it down, even though it just kind of inches its way up, but that way you don't have to actually sit there and just keep tapping the button over and over and over again like that. You just hold down the plus or the minus to change the angle of the screen depending on your needs. And I must say, I really like that, because right now I've got a little bit of a glare, but if I hold down the plus button, or the plus option, maybe I should say, that's not really a button on the screen, is it? Well, I just gave people a lot of reason to give me a hard time in the comments section, but that actually adds value to the video and will get me more views, so feel free to do so. But everything here is very easy to navigate, whether you're using navigation or media or whatever the case may be. It's a very simple system. But here's where it gets a little interesting. On the bottom screen is where you're going to change the settings for the seats. You've got the heated and ventilated seats, obviously ventilated today here in Northwest Louisiana. And if you want to change the fan speed, you're going to hit the fan button and you're going to turn the dial over here on the left or right hand side, and then you change the temperature. Of course, you can do that between both, and you have a lot of different options for each dial here. You can even change driving modes with the left side dial depending on what you want, and there are multiple modes available depending on your desires. Everything from dynamic, you've got eco, you've got comfort, you even have special off-road modes, and I'll show you everything on the screen right there. Of course, you have the dial select shifter here. Tell me what you think about that, guys. I know people have varying opinions about that kind of stuff, but I find that to be very easy to use. Of course, you have the concealed cup holder here, and you see what I was just doing right there? Habit. That's not how it works. There is a Land Rover logo behind that, so you've got a cup holder there. 2 cup holders here for round cups, and then if you have some kind of a square container that you're drinking out of, there's a square cup holder here on the left hand side. You do have the 2 separate Bombay doors here. You do find USB ports here, a little bit of space in there, another 12-volt power outlet. And the nice thing is that if your passenger is riding along with their arm over here, that is doubling as an armrest, the top of the console, well, you don't necessarily have to open both sides at the same time, although you can if you want to. And ultimately, I just like the overall layout here, and the steering wheel mounted controls, that looks nice and high tech. It's not just typical of just buttons and switches and things like that. It looks more, to me, more high tech that way than what you would normally see. Not a bad thing in either direction, just an observation. Of course, you have the controls here above the rear view mirror for the automatic shade and opening and or closing the panoramic sunroof. But since we've taken a look at everything, let's get to my favorite part of any vehicle, the test drive. All right, guys, let's get out on the road here for a quick little test drive with the Velar. And even though this is the 4-cylinder engine, it's the least powerful of the options you can get with the Velar, I have not been disappointed with the acceleration that is available. Even at 247 horsepower, this little Velar gets down the road nicely. It handles well, it's comfortable, of course, with the multiple driving modes. If you drive it in comfort, I'm in dynamic mode right now. For those of you who watch me regularly, I don't think that's a surprise, but Driving in comfort mode actually is a very impressive experience. Typically an SUV of this size tends to have a little bit of a choppy ride. It tends to be a little rough over some of the bumps, but honestly, I haven't really experienced that in this particular model as I have in some of the other SUVs in its class. So I must say, that's impressive. And I like the fact that the overall handling is actually very good. I've been through some corners already and seen how this works. And let's just do a little acceleration here. Not only is the handling good, but the acceleration, even though you can hear the engine is working pretty hard, that little turbocharged four-cylinder, when you need some horsepower, it's not going to let you down. It's going to get you down the road just fine without any problems whatsoever. If you need to merge into interstate traffic, say the speed limit's 65 or 70 miles an hour, whatever the case may be, you won't even have to put the accelerator on the floor to get to that speed, or maybe a little bit above, to make sure you can merge in. Or if you're on a two-lane road like I'm driving on right now and you need to pass a slower moving vehicle, not going to be a problem. And overall handling, I am in dynamic mode right now, but no matter what mode you're driving in, comfort or eco mode or whatever the case may be, you're going to find that this Velar handles really well. It does have some body roll if you try and throw it into a corner. I did that earlier just driving around, kind of getting used to the steering. But that's not a big deal. You know, one of the more impressive aspects of the Velar is that it does have some good off-road capabilities. But if you were going to use your Velar off-road, I would definitely say opt for the larger engine option. Get a little bit more horsepower, because I know that going up a steep grade, this one would struggle just a little bit, at least from what I understand. You know, eventually we're going to have access to the test track again at the Land Rover of Shreveport dealership, but with the remodeling going on, it's just kind of hard to get to. A lot of vehicles parked in the way and all that stuff. But maybe we'll do that in a future video and just do all of the different SUVs available from Land Rover and just see how they handle the test track. But overall, if you're looking for a good road-worthy vehicle that's gonna get you around town with no problems, gets good gas mileage for an SUV, a small SUV, or is really good on the road, nice and comfortable, I must say that the ride is relatively smooth. I mean, it's not bad. It's definitely, like I said earlier, I've been in other vehicles that are a lot more rough riding in this class than what I've dealt with here. Now, you're gonna notice as we go over these railroad tracks, at least on the camera pointing out of the windshield, that's probably gonna seem a little more shaky than what the GoPro did, and that's just because of the tripod. Now, let's see if we can get up to the speed limit here. We're gonna get on down the road. I don't have the draggy today, so I can't do a 0 to 60 test and show you how close we can get, or if we can get to what the estimated 0 to 60 is on this vehicle. But I must say, if I was looking for a vehicle such as this Velar is a lot of fun to drive. I like the fact that it's nimble. I like the fact that the steering is nice and responsive. The steering wheel itself is very comfortable. That is important for the driver, especially when you're on a long road trip. It's so amazing how we don't often stop to think about all the little intricacies that factor into fatigue. And a comfortable steering wheel actually, I think, can have something to do with that. How well the vehicle drives. If it tracks well and you're not having to make constant adjustments back and forth, which is not going to be an issue here, well, that's going to help you to avoid fatigue as well, or at least cut down on it. So we're cruising down the road here that I've already been down here once with this Velar just to kind of see how it handled. And it's not going to take the corners at super high speeds, not really intended to, but it does handle well. I'm a little bit more used to the steering now, so the handling's a little bit better. But I did notice in the corner we're about to hit, I'm gonna go over a bridge here, get a little bit of a test on how comfortable it rides. It's not bad, not bad at all. Now, I wish I could tell you what the back seat was like, because I'm sure some of you would like to know, how does it feel in the back seat? Well, unfortunately, I don't have a way to do that. but I would imagine it's comfortable back there for your rear seat passengers as well. And of course you do have the panoramic sunroof. But we're going to cruise on down here, and when I took this turn the first time, I got quite a bit of body roll, and I think that was more due to my not being used to the vehicle itself. So let's just see how it does. Still getting a little bit of body roll, not too bad. I think a lot of that is just being used to the steering characteristics of the Velar. But overall, everything is really nice here. One thing I would like to see, if there was going to be any changes made, to change any settings on the air conditioning, you have to use the screen. So it's not, I don't know that I could do it, maybe some of you could, but you're not going to be able to think, oh, I want to turn the fan speed down. And if you have to actually push the button to bring that option up with that right hand dial to change the fan speed, of course you have to hit the screen first, and you don't want to take your eyes off the road to do that even for a short period of time. I know that people do that, but stay safe. So it would be nice to have some dials that were just there and you knew what they were, and you just didn't even have to look and reach down and just do what you need to do. But I mean, ultimately, I love the screens here. It's just like the Range Rover Sport and other models of the Range Rovers. It looks great. It's nice technology, and it makes the vehicle look very modern, and it's not difficult to navigate your way around with either of these screens. And I like the fact that the top screen does tilt forward or back depending on what your situation is with the glare. So that's a nice feature to have, and overall I must say I'm very impressed with this Velar. I just really, if I was going to buy something like this, I would definitely want a little more horsepower under my foot personally, but at the same time, the 4-cylinder isn't exactly weak, and for what you'd most likely use it for, you'd really want the 4-cylinder if you're wanting to save as much gas as possible. But ultimately, must say I have some high marks on this. I'm not going to do a Tom score or anything like that, but I don't know. I've halfway thought about doing Tom's top 5 or something like that, but I feel like there's so many people out there that are doing things like that already. I don't know that I want to go copycatting anybody, but again, tell me in the comments if that's something you want. Don't forget, guys, leave your feedback in the comments section and tell me in detail what you want me to cover here, and I will of course do my best to provide all of you with that. I really appreciate that. Pretty soon, Land Rover of Shreveport is going to be moving back into their regular location that has been under reconstruction, remodeling for the last several months, possibly by the end of this month, September of 2020. We'll see. That's going to open up some options. We're going to line up all of the SUVs side by side and go over everything, whether it's the Evoque, the Velar, the Range Rover Sport, the Discovery, and just kind of do a quick little comparison of all of those and even run them all over the track at Land Rover of Shreveport. Should be a lot of fun, so keep an eye out for that. I appreciate my friends at the dealership, of course, for being kind enough to loan me this Velar for the day, and all of you for being kind enough to take the time to watch. If you haven't subscribed to my channel just yet, guys, please be sure to hit that subscribe button. Got a lot of great content coming, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.